Do you want to make a spooky fantasy world map filled with terrifying locations to explore? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to make this super stylish inverse map. You can do it with little to no drawing ability. All you need are a few art supplies and a little bit of patience. So I grabbed a couple sheets of this black scrapbooking paper from the art supply store. Really, any black paper will do for this map. You just want to avoid the really cheap, like kids construction paper. That stuff isn't going to hold up when you start drawing on it, with some white Posca markers and a white Jelly Roll pen. The Poscas I'm using are a PC 1M and a PC 5M, and the Jelly Roll is a size 08. You can get this stuff from basically any art supply or craft store, but I'll also have links in the description to where you can pick them up online. So before I jump into actually drawing this world map, I always make a list of the locations or the biomes, all the places that are going to be drawn on the map. And since we're drawing a dark and scary map, it's places like Castle Doom and the Worm Tree and the Bog of Silence and the Hole. You know, fun, cheerful stuff like that. Next up, I'm going to grab a scrap sheet of this scrapbooking paper and just draw each of the elements individually. I'm like figuring out how I want to illustrate each of the icons that is going to represent each of these locations that I've listed out. Now, this is a really, really important part of the process, especially with this kind of map, because we're not going to be penciling and erasing. We're going to be drawing straight with the paint markers. So take some time to figure out how you're going to draw each of these icons. It's really going to save you when you get to drawing the actual map. But at the same time, keep it really simple. You know, the coolness of this map is going to be that it's white on black. So like my castle is just blocks stacked on top of each other with some triangles. The trees are literally just a triangle with a little line for the trunk. The hole is just an oval, and then I'm pulling out lines to make it look like it's raising out of the ground. Ruins are really easy, just jagged blocks. Spores are just little oval mushrooms, and I'm using the Jelly Roll pen to make two little lines for the stalk. Mountains are just upside down V's with lines pulled down from the tip, and a bog or swamp are just horizontal lines with little grassy things sticking out of the top. Really, nothing I'm doing on this map is difficult to draw. I promise if you just take your time beforehand and figure things out, you really don't have to have any drawing ability. As long as you keep it simple, you'll be able to make a cool looking map like this. And speaking of simple, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Nimble. So I really enjoy playing D&D 5e, but there are some things that I've always wanted to change to make it just a little bit faster and a little bit easier to run. And this book, Nimble, streamlines the 5e rules and does just that. It reworks a bunch of the 5e rules to simplify the game and keep things moving. It's stuff like getting rid of attack rolls to speed up combat. It changes falling from 0 HP from this weird mini game to a dying condition. It still sucks, but at least the player who is dying no longer just has to sit there and watch their friends arguing about whether to heal or to try and defeat the bad guy. There's simplified rules for monsters to make them easier to run, but it's still just equally as tactical and fun. There's a mana system that completely gets rid of the confusing spell slot system that I can never keep straight in my mind. There's an inventory system. There's better money tracking. It simplifies the skill list. It doesn't make it any less deep, just much easier to run and to play. There's so much cool stuff crammed into this 20-page book, and I actually love that it is a 20-page book, easy to have at the table, super easy to look up the rules on the fly. Check out the Kickstarter. It's the first link down in the description. It was funded in like 5 hours, so this book is going to get printed. I'm really excited about it. I think you should check it out. Thanks, Nimble, for sponsoring this video. Okay, now it's time to jump into the drawing of this terrifying and dark world map. I've grabbed a new sheet of black scrapbooking paper, and usually I start with an outline of the continent. I kind of figure out the shape of the world and put down a nice thick border. But since I'm not planning out this map in pencil first, I'm going to build each of the sections, each of the biomes and location on this map one at a time, and then later I'll surround it with a thick border. So I've started with the hole in the middle of the map, and it's surrounded by this blighted land, really simple, just dots, kind of barren wasteland. And already my mind is going, maybe something came up from the underground and doomed this land, or maybe something fell from the sky and caused this world to fall into darkness. I've decided I'm leaving the mountains just as upside down V's, no shading or extra things. I think it just looks cool. The white on black just looks really awesome. So simple mountains. Castle Doom and Scullion Hill, I'm making just a silhouette, basically just a tower with some spikes, and I'll go in with the black pen later on to add some details. It's really fun to just kind of freehand and draw this stuff. I'll admit I am a little bit nervous to mess things up as I go, but I think the sort of messy hand-drawn style really lends itself to a darker theme. I'm adding in the location names. I'm just kind of putting them generally in the middle of where I think each of these biomes or locations are going. And with the actual writing of the typography, I'm being intentionally messy. I'm not trying to make the letters all the same size or keep it super clean with nice pen strokes. I think when the writing is a little messier and jagged, it gives it a more menacing feel. Like whoever drew this map in this fantasy world probably had a really shaky, afraid hand as they're drawing. And I only spent like 5 minutes coming up with a list of all these places, but I think it would be a really fun adventure to run here. As I'm drawing, I like to think of the reasons that my D&D players would need to go or want to go to all of these different places. Maybe they need to find a super rare mushroom from the spore fields to make this crazy antidote, but they have to go through the dread forest to get there. Or maybe they're looking to retrieve an item from some fallen lord in the grave wastes. I just really love making these maps because these simple little drawings can spark so much imagination. Like, what the heck is going on at this worm tree? And is that what turned whatever this place was into these moldy ruins? I don't know. I just love this stuff. Okay, now that all of the major locations are filled in, it's time to surround the area with a thick line to create a border. I guess this is the border between land and water. I don't know. Maybe this island or continent is surrounded by mist or some unknown void. What do you think? So I've decided to use the jelly roll pen to make these horizontal lines all along the thicker border, just to give the map some texture and kind of contain this world, make it look map-like. I'm also going into a few of the locations with a black Posca pen, a PC1MR. Really, I think any black pen would do. Just adding back in a few details like making the Inferno Lake actually on fire and distinguishing the tower from the spikes of Castle Doom and making Scullion Hill just a little bit more legible. Nothing fancy, but it is really nice to be able to add some black in over top of the white. And I'm so surprised. I just love drawing with this white on top of the black paper. Technically, it's not any different than drawing with black on top of white paper, but it just feels different. It gives a spooky look. I'm thinking these Doom lands are almost like some kind of underworld. I don't know. I just had a lot of fun making this map. I'm really proud with how it turned out. Super fun. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I really want to encourage you to give drawing a map like this a try. If you do, I'd really love to see it. Please check out the Nimble Kickstarter. I really think it's a fantastic way to streamline your 5e D&D game. If you'd like to support the channel, I have a Patreon where I make monthly TTRPG adventures and guidebooks. I also have an online shop with all of that stuff there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!